It's Tuesday, 2:30. It's the Power Hour. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are we doing today? Tuesday, the Power Hour. Yes, Deepak. We're going to let the room fill up and then we're going to dive in. We have a cracker of a show today. The name of today's show is The Future is Killing You. A controversial subject. Yes, Ben, big up. We're going to let the room fill up and then we're going to dive in today's subject matter. The future is killing you. Whoa. So again, yes, Steve. Let me know where you're calling in from so I can give everybody some shouts. Yes, Heather. New York in the house. Brooklyn. Let me know where you're calling in from. Judge, how you going, brother? Let's get the vibe pumping today. Yes, Heather. Yeah, man. So I love this, reading these names out where people are coming from. This is great. This show is going from strength to strength, and we're getting better and better, and this community is amazing. I just want to big up everybody, man. You know what I mean? This vibe, I'm really enjoying it, and it's making me work at my subject matter. Yes, Ben from Essex, big up. And I'm having to go deep. Yes, Tony. And do the work, right? And today, I've been thinking a lot about all the comments that I've been reading in some of the show notes. But first of all, I just want to big up Ross, who's going to be a dad soon. Big up Ross. I just saw the baby pictures. Well done, brother. Congratulations. Baby coming soon. Yes, Tajai from Japan. Is that right? Colonel Kurtz. Yes. So yeah, I've been inspired by people's comments, and yes, Blaine, how you doing? Hampshire in the house. Yes, Ross. You know what I mean? You're coming in the club, bro. Judge from Germany, what's going on? Yeah, so I've been inspired by all the comments, Sam, what's going on, brother? Mike, what's happening, man? I've been inspired to, really dig deep into some of the threads. And I've rewritten out some of the questions from some of the earlier shows as well that I think are really relevant, need to be spoken about, and it's like anything. We're going to hear it once. We're going to kind of get some ideas from it. We hear it twice, hear it 3 times. It's about really driving home some points, really getting clear on some things, and having the conversation until change happens, because that's what this is about, right? We're having a laugh, and it's Tuesday afternoon, it's the Power Hour, Planet Reset, but my goal for you guys is for this to be, the spark, the incubator, the flame, right? That sparks the fire. That, hey, Nicola, this is my spark that's going to, hopefully lead to something else, right? And so, I'm a great fan of podcasts, radio, documentaries, books, things that are great at sparking that piece of insight, that piece of, inspiration that's going to be able to, light that fire. So I hope this is doing it for you guys. This is at least some sort of catalyst, something to bring some new ideas onto the table and help you think differently. The Apple Mac slogan, think differently. So Natara, how you doing? Long time no hear, man. What's going on? So again, the title of today's show, The Future is Killing You. Whoa, right? So I'm going to let the room fill up a bit and then we're going to get into today's show. And again, I just want to thank everybody for making that commitment to listening, to tuning in, week out, and help build this community to what it is. And over the last couple of weeks, I've been asking you guys, you know, for inspiration. Yes, brother. Big up, Sir MC Fats Locked. Yeah, what? Yeah, say Fats. Bless, brother, bless. I've been asking the community, where should we take this thing next? And yes, Matthew, from the Bayou States. Where's that, brother? What part of America is that? And so, for me, I've got some good ideas, and I'm planning some really great stuff. So I'll share that with you in the next couple of weeks. The show's going to the next level. Thanks, Natalia. This is great. I'm really enjoying it. And we've got some great ideas about what we want to take it. We're gonna be yes, Fats, brilliant. And we've got some great ideas of where this is going to go and how we can grow it, and where people can start contributing in a different way. So, with that said, you know, keep sending me in some of your ideas, people. And thanks for, I forget the guy's name, but he sent me a link for a set that was amazing. And so I looked at that, and so, yeah, I'm not going to say too much, but we've got some good ideas of where this is going to go. So, what is happening out there, people? Like I said, thank you for everybody for tuning in. Thank you for everybody who's made that commitment to be here on a Tuesday afternoon when it is blazing outside. We seem to be having these hot days on a Tuesday, and then the actual day that I want to go do stuff, it rains. So, what if the future ain't killing us? We'll get into that. Yes, Vix, how you doing? Danny Dubplate in the place. Judge D's, yes, sir. Yeah, so just a few notes. If you want to get hold of me, you can catch me on disruptivek@gmail.com. That's disruptivek@gmail.com. I'll put that in the comments. And you can email me, drop me a line, ask me any information, disruptive@gmail. Okay. At Gmail, there we go. Disruptive K at, come on. At gmail.com. For some reason the connection keeps dropping out on you. So if you want to drop me a line, ask me any questions. Yes, Darren from Brisbane. What's going on, brother? And drop me a line, ask me anything. Send me some music, send me some films, send me some links, send me some ideas about where the show can go next. I'd love to hear your thoughts. We are a growing community, and this thing is taking on a life with everybody who's been sending me stuff. Also, if you want to get on the mailing list, so you can get invites for projects that's coming up, and you'll get be on the mailing list for all the new music coming as well, and all the other things that we got planned coming as well. So you'll be first to know about that. So same thing as well, disruptivek@gmail.com, and just put in the message. Mailing list. Brilliant. So, yep, so some new music is out for me as well. So guys, you can check out a new release coming out on Tempo Records. So thanks Frodo for that, and that will be available in your shop soon. And big up to V Records as well. There's a new Crust 12 on V Records on their Legend series. So I know a lot of you have got that videos. So when you get these tracks, man, post it. Post a video of you playing it, man. I'd love to see where you are, what your thoughts are about it as well. These are just a couple of tunes that, yes, Alistair from Cardiff, big up. These are some tunes that's sort of coming out. We, of course, have got the album coming soon, so I know everyone wants to know what it's like when it's a drop in. So that's dropping very, very soon. We've got a single lined up that's going to be coming soon. I'm really excited to get that out into the world. It's been a while. We've had a few setbacks, but we're finally in gear. And you know, we're in the DeLorean now, time machine. So we're going to make it happen. It's all lined up. We're ready to go. And there's a lot of surprises that we've just put into this package as well. So please be patient with me. We're getting it ready. It's going to be the boom. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. And yeah, if you're on the main list, you're going to be the first to get an invite. And I'm also planning an album listening party, but the new version, because of the you know, social distancing kind of vibe. So if you want to know more about that, email me and I'll drop you some details when that's ready. So that'd be good to get you guys involved in that. Okay, what else? So big up Ash for Resonant Radio. We did a great interview for his podcast, so you can check that out. That's Ash's podcast, that's Resonate Radio. That was a really good show that we did, and you should also check out the BBC Radio Desert Island disc replay. Thanks, Chris, for that as well. So 2 interviews to check out. I've posted the links on my page as well for you guys to check out. And so, yeah, listen to them, give me some feedbacks, tell me what you think. Lots of great music and conversations to be had. So thank you everybody who's been tuning in and who's been leaving comments. Brilliant. So let's dive into the subject of today's show. And we're talking about, is the future killing you? So Darren, I'm kind of new to the Power Hour. Where can we send tunes? Great question, Darren. disruptivek@gmail.com, or you could leave me a link in the Crust Messenger, and I will receive that. So Natara Hunter, struggling where to pitch my skills, been battling in mainstream schools and teachers unions to bring change, but such, okay, big one here. But such a shift in reimagined prescribed environment is heartbreaking and soul destroying. Seeing young minds. We'll get back into that one a bit later on. But we'll dive into the subject matter of today's show. And please do post your questions in here. I'll get back to them. What I wanted to talk about today, though, is the future killing your business? Killing you? I mean, it's a bit of a pun, right? And it comes from the whole thing, what Jeff Bezos said about people complaining to him about Amazon killing his business. And his reply was, Amazon's not killing your business, the future is. And so what I wanted to talk to you guys today about was, how do we kind of, you know, future-proof ourselves, and what is it that we need to prepare for 2020, 2021, 2022, right? Think about what's happening this year. No one was prepared for it. Everyone got caught off guard. But still, you know, some people have thrived through it, right? Have really been able to grow their brands, their business. Look at how everyone that's been doing the live streams. Look at how that's taken off. Look at the way that, you know, people have switched their offer, being able to switch their mindsets and being able to really understand how to keep growing through this. And as a side note, some of the biggest companies that are around today were started in the last recession. So I'll say that again. Some of the biggest companies that are around today were started in the last recession. So certain people with certain types of mindset aren't put off by whether there's a recession, whether the stock's doing good or bad. They know how to think about what it is they need to think about and challenge their energies and get the result that they want to get. So over the last couple of weeks, I've been reading in the notes and I've been seeing a sort of conversation that sort of is around this whole idea of, you know, like the how can I do something, right? Or, you know, I want to be a part of this or that and they won't let me, right? And, you know, it's really interesting that people feel like, and I totally get this, I totally understand where this comes from, people feel like they can't get into a kind of community, they can't be a part of a genre or a scene. And I get that, it's human nature. We want to be part of something. We want to feel like we are, we can contribute. We want to feel like we are, you know, valued, right? Human beings have this drive, one for progress, right? When we don't make progress, life feels shitty. And the other one is for significance, right? We want to be recognized for our contribution. It's not like trying to be famous or trying to be rich and be noticed for those things. I'm just talking about, excuse me, being recognized for the contribution that we make in our lives that improves other people's lives. And that's not why you do it. You don't go out there and say, right, I'm consciously going to do this. Like a painter doesn't paint a painting and say, this is going to make people happy. The painter is expressing themselves. They're expressing their creativity, their art, their love for something, and it comes out in this painting, right? People see it and they get enjoyment from it, right? That's kind of my idea of what art is as well, right? When you just I make the best music that I can make because that's what I can do. You know, no one can do what I can do. So I'm, you know, expressing what I'm doing to the best of my ability, first and foremost, because I love doing it, right? And then as a byproduct of that, people, you know, look at it and say, oh, I like that, I appreciate that. That's cool, I get it, right? But that's not why I do it. And so where that leads to is, you know, and especially how I came up in this whole music world was that as a result of just doing that on a day-to-day basis, just really getting great at it, really being passionate at it, there were other people doing the same thing in the community, you know, outside of my awareness, right? I didn't know that there was loads of people all over England making this new music at 160. I didn't know that until, you know, I started playing it out. You know, I was doing the radio. I started to meet other people. I met Sub. He was from Oxford. He introduced me to the Oxford guys, Smithy and Quiff. And then we started going to all these traveller parties, and then we started meeting people who were doing this whole thing. And it was like there was this idea that was pervading, you know, in consciousness, right? That we kind of were all sort of tuning into, that there was something else that we could do with our talent. And just to I'm not sure if most people know this story, but I started out trying to be a hip hop producer. And the music that I was making, people were saying, that's not hip hop. And I was like, what do you mean it's not hip hop? And they said to me, hip hop sounds like this. And they play, and, you know, and it was like this very, you know, what we know as hip hop, you know, 110, 120, 90 BPMs. It had a certain kind of feel to it. My hip hop, right, was coming in at 150, 160. And to me, it was hip hop. I came from the wild style mentality. I came from that whole attitude. And for me, I was just expressing myself. And I suddenly had this awareness that it wasn't hip hop as people who listened to hip hop knew it. It was just something different. And I was following my own intuition. I was following my kind of my insights. I was using my imagination, and I created something different, something new. Now, imagine now if I really wanted to be part of that hip hop community, and I changed my sound to fit in with what was already happening. What would have happened, right? What would have happened to me, my career? What would have happened to my, yes, Lewis, what would have happened to my imagination? What would have happened to my instincts? You know, when you stop following your instincts, like they say, right? If you don't use it, you lose it, right? The universe gives you ideas all the time, but when you stop listening, or you feel like you can't listen to it, you stop getting ideas. It's like the universe says, well, why am I giving you the ideas. You're not using them. I'm telling you to use this idea. You're saying to me you want success. You want to be a creator. You want to contribute to, the creator sphere, right? I'm giving you inspiration. I'm giving you ideas. But you're not listening. You still think that the only way for you to contribute is to be a hip-hop producer. And the universe is like, no, I'm just going to make you a creator. And in that creation, you will have fun. You will love what you're doing. And people will love what you're doing. You'll be able to tour the world and see the many beautiful sights that this world has to offer. You just got to listen to me, right? And this is a conversation that I've had so many times with creators who are coming up, who have this fixed idea about what something should be, right? And the reason why I'm saying this is because what the power is in understanding who you are, what you have to offer, and to not fit in, right? I'm going to say it again, to not fit in, to not, dampen your creative spirit, to not dampen your intuition, your vibes. You're feeling something that the world, the universe is directing into you and saying, look, I'm giving you this idea. All you have to do is follow it through. All your dreams will come true. Just follow it through, right? And you'll go, no, it's not hip hop. It's like, no, I know it's not hip hop. It's something different, right? You can coexist with hip hop. And furthermore, when the hip hop mans hear you, they're going to praise you for doing your own thing, right? And that's the switch that you've got to get, right? And the power in all this is to be authentically yourself, right? So how do you stop being killed by the future? You be yourself. Well, how can you be killed by the future? By following the crowd, right? By following the crowd that's already established something and who are afraid to move on and who are holding on to what they have, right? And why are people holding on to what they have? Because they don't have the next idea, right? They don't have the next idea. Brilliant facts, brilliant. So what happens when you don't have the next idea? You want to hold on to the idea that you think is going to be eternity. Egypt fell. Egypt was the most advanced civilization of its time. It fell. Greece took over. Greece fell. Rome took over. Rome fell, right? Like the British Empire, it's been running for how many years? It is falling, right? This whole idea that something's going to last forever, we know it doesn't. History is our greatest teacher. Look into history, look at the patterns, how civilizations rise and fall, how leaders rise and fall. Everybody has their moment. Everybody has their time in the sun, including a great idea. Jungle will not last forever in its present form. It had to evolve. It became drum and bass. Now drum and bass is evolving into something else. Just before I got into jungle, we were all listening to something called jungle techno, which was a hybrid of techno music, ragga, and what was like rave music, right? That transformed. That split and that became happy hardcore and jungle, right? The two scenes just split. And I remember going to the universe and hearing Bookham's music for the first time. Anybody who knows Bookham's music track? Fabio played it at Universe. The whole place went bananas. That was his opening tune, right? Whole place went bananas, right? That was the birth of jungle. Like on that level, because it was so new, so different. It took all the elements of music that we knew, but they combined it in a different way, right? So that gives you a clue about what to do next, right? You, right, as a creator and as an artist, can make understanding how to recreate the elements that are already around you in a new way, right? And the people that are really good at that continue to be, relevant. And Miles Davis was a genius at that. If you study Miles Davis, you look at where he started and how his career progressed. He was very clever at understanding who he could work with, who was, you know, the next sort of up-and-coming creators who he could tap into, who he could learn from just as much as they could learn from. Imagine you're this 19-year-old kid just coming through, right? And you get a phone call, yeah, what's happening, man? And it's Miles Davis. And he's like, yeah, kid, I like what you do and I want to work with you. You're like, what? Right? So you have to be understanding where you need to position yourself as a creator and as an artist. And this whole argument that somebody doesn't want to let you in is a blessing. And I'll tell you why. When we got together, me, Ronnie, Di, and Sav, when we finally sort of got together and we started this thing called Full Cycle, we had so many tunes, right? We weren't going to start the label at that time. It wasn't really like an option for us. What we wanted to do, we just wanted to get our music out. We were this crew of guys, and we sent out CD, that, after that, after that, and we didn't hear a squeak. Nothing. No one came back. But no, tell a lie, a few people came back. One person said, you should try Crust. Who would name themselves that? You should try calling yourself something good like Groove Rider, right? That's what someone said. And that was like the basis of the communication that we were getting from these labels. Nobody was interested in our music. We got so frustrated and so fed up. Those two magic motivating words, you know, came out. Fuck it. Right? We just sat in this room and said, fuck it, we'll do it ourselves. And that, out of frustration, out of, you know, out of anger, out of desire to want to be recognized as a that we didn't know anything about, weren't comfortable doing, but had no other choice than to do. And that was why and how Full Cycle got its first start. So all those people out there who were frustrated and angry and complaining that these scenes won't let you in, or these people don't want you to be a part of it, good, right? That is a blessing, because that's going to drive you to do something unique. That's going to drive you to do something that isn't been done before. That's going to drive you down to into a new space, right? That no one's thinking about yet, right? And then guess what's going to happen? You're going to be the leader of that genre, that space, that community, right? And that's what this whole thing's about. Remember, when we first started Jungle, it wasn't called Jungle. There wasn't a scene. It was just a group of people just making beats and having fun. Remember, think about hip hop. When hip hop first started, they didn't call it hip hop, right? They were just a group of guys. And dubstep, group of guys. Think about, you know, all the music scenes that's ever started. Nobody in those scenes creates the name, right? But those people in those scenes, they're just passionate about creating something. And 9 times out of 10, actually 10 times out of 10, the people who start those things have been rejected from other places, have been pushed away by society, shunned by other cultures, misunderstood by parents, by businesses, by the media, and they've been forced to create something that's going to get their voice recognized. Why? Why do we do it? Because we have a desire to get our voices out there, to be heard. We will not be silenced, right? And when you think about it, think about that film, Jurassic Park, where the lead actor says that life will always find a way. That's like us. The people that constantly are pushing new boundaries, constantly are doing new things, constantly are hearing no, no, no. It's like, coming up through this whole thing, I heard no so many times, it just dawned on me, this isn't for you, right? It just dawned on me, I was like, this just isn't for you. It's not about, no, it's not going to work, because I love it. My friends love it, right? And that's because we're operating at a certain frequency. We know what's next. You know, I was 19 years old, 20 years old when I first started making Jungle. All those kids out there now who are making this new music, right? They know what's next. Listen, I've listened to some of this new music and sometimes I don't get it, but I keep reverting back to when I was that age, right? And my parents didn't get it. The peers around me didn't get it. They were kind of stuck in their way and they were listening to what they were listening to, still listening to mom and pop kind of beats and thinking, whoa, this is the future. It's like, nah, that's your future. this new future is coming through, regardless. You know, and I love this whole how he looked at the technology he was making. He knew that the technology that he was making wasn't for his generation. He knew it's for the children, the kids, right? And if you see kids using iPads, like, you know, my son was touching and operating an iPad and an iPhone at 1.5, right? He didn't know what he was doing, but he understood enough to swipe or press that button, right? So simple. Think of the genius of that. Like, being able to take a concept. And remember what I said there. Reorganize the elements around you in a new way. Invent the phone. Steve Jobs didn't invent a music player. Sony had already invented the music player, the Walkman. Nokia was king of the phones. Canon was king of the photos, right? No, Kodak, right? They were the kings of the photos. So Steve Jobs didn't invent any of those things. His genius, right, was two things. He put them all together into one device, and he did away with the buttons, right? And of course, he's got loads of other genius ideas, but that was how simple he made it, right? So if you're struggling to get to this next level, whatever this next level is, if you're struggling to understand why no one's getting your ideas, it's because it's not meant for them. It's meant for you to figure out. It's meant for you to create whatever's next come about, because you are going to create it, right? You are going to do it, right? So again, I come completely off off piece, but we're on point. Yes, Scotty. So one of the ideas that I really wanted to dig into, which is scenes or these communities, is because of time, right? What do I mean? Most people think that starting your own thing is going to be time consuming. It's going to take a lot of time. And I hear that a lot in my coaching. Yeah, it takes too long. Well, that's not really the real deeper issue. Like, if you look at how time works and understand how flow operates, flow wins all the time. What do I mean? So you don't need more time. So time would be, if we did a graph, right? Time would be this line that just goes across from this point to that point, and we're traveling along that time, right? That timeline, and we're saying, look, I just need more time, I just need more time, I just need more time. Flow goes the opposite way. Flow goes down. Flow's not interested in time. Flow goes down to the depth where time is irrelevant, right? Flow goes to the space where ideas exist, where ideas are like, you know, raindrops, like the air, where they're just there all the time, right? And this has been known throughout history. You know, great thinkers knew about the meditative state, the alpha state, the theta state, the delta state, where they could go to a level. And we're talking about, remember, we're not looking at time as this linear thing. We're going to a depth of consciousness where time isn't a factor and where all ideas exist. And why is this so important? Because if you're trying to get somewhere in time, and you're doing all this hard work, and you're trying to make loads and loads of music, you're trying to get involved in a group, trying to get involved in a culture, trying to get involved in a community, trying to get recognized, you're trying to get attention in a world where a lot of these ideas are already settled on, made up, and where people already got traction in this and momentum in this one way of thinking. And what flow does, flow says, right? Flow says, I'm going to transcend time and space as we know it. I'm going to go to a different place where everything and all things exist simultaneously. The future, the past, the present, doesn't matter. And all ideas are here. And all you need to do is take one of these ideas and bring it back to the surface, and bingo, something incredible will happen for you, right? And we've heard these stories again and again and again. Paul McCartney wakes up with a song in his mind and writes Yesterday, smashed hit, right? Steve Jobs, has an insight and he takes all the buttons off of the iPhone and puts a piece of glass on there, right? Insight, and we can go on and on and on and on about all these insights, these people's ideas, which changed the world because they trusted their intuition, their insight, and they were able to go to a level of thinking, of being, which brought up something new, something what we would say was radical, something that was unknown. But they trusted their instincts to the degree that they produced something that we didn't know we even needed, right? Imagine living without your device now, whatever you got, iPhone, Samsung, whatever phone it is. Imagine living without that now. We're so used to that technology and what it does, right? And that has revolutionized our world. The way that we're connected, the way that it connects us, the way that we use this device, it's changed our world, it's changed our lives. So these type of insights, right, they can come at a flash. And so what's that got to do with the people who want to join the communities? You only need one idea that can change your life. Just one, right? You don't need loads and loads, you just need one that will have a dramatic effect on your life and on the people's lives around you. And how do you get that, right? So we're talking now about circumventing this whole idea that so-and-so don't want to let me in, or I'm trying to be part of this genre, or it's like, let's take a step back. If you could create something equally as alluring as what it is that you're trying to get into, wouldn't that be more beneficial to you? Would you prefer to do that? Would you prefer to be recognized for your own achievements, for what you wanted to do? I think you would. So how do you do it? Learn to meditate. Learn to go inside. Learn to notice, a different way of thinking, I'll leave that there because this is a really, I want to go through a lot more of these notes and ideas, but there's a very powerful way to get to this stage is morning rituals. And I talk a lot about that in my Wednesdays workshops coaching, so I can explain a little bit more of that later on in the talk. But meditation and going into levels, and the film director David Lynch talks a lot about meditation and how he gets his ideas. And he's got a book, I think it's called Going Fishing, or Looking for... Does anyone know that book by David Lynch? But it's called something like fishing, going deep fishing. But in it, he talks about how he gets his ideas, why he uses meditation, and the results that he gets. Very, very, very powerful, right? The calm mind sees way much more than the overactive mind, right? Thank you, Nicola, Catching the Big Fish by David Lynch. Great book, check it out. The calm mind is way more active, and it's really funny when you think about it. The calm mind is way more active than the overactive mind, right? There's a lot of activity going on, but it's like high revs. When you're thinking loads and loads of thoughts and you're in a stress response, you're in high revs, right? And you're just thinking about, transcendental meditation. Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Nicola. When you're in high revs, you're missing lots of opportunities, right? You're just got this one idea and you think that that's the only way to get there. But when you learn to meditate or slow the brain waves down, because that's what you're doing, you're slowing the brain waves down. When you start to slow the brain waves down, you start to see and feel and learn more, right? And this is the trick, right, of time and the trap of time. Time just says, oh, if I have enough time, I could do X, Y, Z. It's like, nah, if I can meditate at a deep enough level, I'll be able to do X, Y, Z, right? And that's the trick. So one of the things really to dive into around this whole subject is how people flow into these ideas. And why I say flow into these ideas, because this is closely linked to writer's block, or people not being able to start or finish things and having this idea that, so writer's block comes from trying to make something they think the culture is going to like. Right? So now again, you're trying to fit into this box, you're trying to fit into this idea that the only way you're going to be recognized is if you are going to be accepted by this culture, you're going to be accepted by the community. So then you're sitting in your space and you're overthinking, you're thinking too much, and then you're worrying. Now you're practicing a negative outcome, because that's what worry is. So you're worrying, now you're overthinking, and now you're in a state of panic, right? And you've gone into this thing we call foveal vision, where you could only see, and then you're saying to yourself, well, if I can't do X, then I won't be accepted in this group. And now the survival mechanism's kicking in, and now it's saying, oh my God, so this is all going on, this is all happening like this, really fast, and it's an internal dialogue, right? And it's saying, oh, if I can't be accepted, then how am I going to make a living? How am I going to survive? And then boom, 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 all this panic starts to happen. You know, if you can relate to that, let me know in the group. And the whole idea stems from, you know, survival happens in the group, right? There's more chance of survival in the group. So that's why we want to be a part of a community. That's why we want to get noticed. That's why we want to get recognized, because we want to fit in. We want to fit into what's already working. So what's already working is easy to help get going, right? It's easy. It's much easier to push a rock, a boulder going down a hill to keep the momentum going than it is to push it up a hill or to keep it going on level ground, right? The clue is in the question, momentum, right? Momentum. The trick with writer's block is to get into momentum. The trick with not feeling like you're going to be part of a crew or part of a community is to start your own, right? You are the community of one. You are the person that has this idea that, and this is the other thing about it, just before I dive deeper into that, the other thing about this is most people have or have had the idea, right, for the thing that they want to do, but they keep dismissing it, right? They keep dismissing it. They keep saying, no, it's not going to work. But the idea, listen, if you're one of those people that has that persistent idea and keeps on dismissing it, right, and saying it's not going to work, email me. We need to talk. I got some specific things for you, right? Because that is your breakthrough, right? That is your breakthrough. And I can hear people say, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. That is the barrier you have to get through to get to the next level. This voice is saying to you, no, I can't break free. People will laugh at me. They won't like it. You know, what will so-and-so think? But the thought's not going away. You've made the picture. You've seen yourself doing it, but you keep pushing it away. You keep saying it, no, it's not right. It's not going to work. But it keeps coming back. Be wary, right? That doesn't last forever, right? Pay attention to it. Figure out a way how you can just do one little part of it, right? Trust me, email me. Let me know if that person's you. I got something for you. I've been in so many rooms, so many coaching sessions, right? That I hear it so many times. And do you know how I know it? Because I've been there. It's happened to me so many times until I realized that was my breakthrough. That was the thing that I had to just pay attention to. And I had to say those two magic words again. Fuck it. What am I going to lose? I'm not where I want to be, so let me just do it. And when I did it, boom, something happened. A beautiful tune came out, right? That, you know, that totally changed, you know, everything for me. You know, and one of the pivotal moments was in fully committing to jungle music, like really fully committing to it in the beginning. You know, I'm not saying I was on the fence. I was saying that there were times when I didn't know where it was going. It didn't really sound like any type of music that I could kind of relate to, other than, you know, it had this energy, it was moving forward, and you know, it wasn't clear what it was going until, you know, one day me, Sub and Di, we were in the studio and we were making this tune, and we went out for lunch or something, and we came back in and someone had muted the kick drum on the desk, right? And we played the track and there was no, because normally we were kind of making this jungle techno thing. It was like, you know, break beats rolling, but with this flat beat coming, you know, over the top. The flat beat wasn't there, and it was just these rolling breaks, right? And we just sat there, we looked at each other, we were like, what's going on? And then we put the beat back in, and they go, no, take it out again. We took it out again. It's like, wow, like, what is that, right? And in that moment, we could have easily said, no, nobody else is taking out the flat beat. We need to keep it in there, right? Or we could have done what we did do, which was we recognized, you know, what we were creating is new, is different. And if we liked it, there is a strong possibility that the other people would like it. And so my philosophy in making music is always one person's gonna like this. That's all, that's for me, that's all it's about. One person, just one person. And so that's got to be, for you, that's got to be your drive. If you're constantly not listening and second guessing, you don't have to be right, all the time. You don't have to, you know, please all the people. You only need to be right once, and you only need to follow your instincts once to see where that takes you, right? It's very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. So the whole idea behind joining these crews, and this appears, right? Any type of activity, because it's not just music. This happens in all walks of life, communities, businesses, people. Right? When you're, you know, when people have an idea to upgrade their lives, whatever that means, go to the next level in their life, what they want to achieve. They, you know, and they've dreamt it, they've felt it, they've seen it, right? And they're tuning into it. And we talked a lot about this in one of our other talks. The RAS has been activated, the reticular activating system has been activated. And they're tuning into this new reality. And then the voice kicks in. No, you can't do that. No, they won't like it. No, and fill in the blanks, right? And that is this whole idea that you won't make it, you won't survive, the universe will not support you. The universe gave you the idea. The universe has shown you the pictures. The universe is helping your RAS see the images that you're seeing. That's guiding you towards this new outcome. Where is this no coming from, right? The no, our perception of creation and the way that we police ourselves. We police ourselves on our communities. We police ourselves in staying in these conformed mindsets, these slim, narrow ways of being. And it compounds on our creativity. It compounds on our ability to see the invisible path that lies before us, called intuition, imagination, instincts, right? Synchronicities, right? That have brought you to this new intersection, right, of these ideas. Remember, there's a combination of the ideas that already exist, but in a new order. Of some stuff around you already exists, but in a new order. Think about that. Think about what's already going on around you, and think about what are you saying no to, right? And then ask yourself, why are you saying no to these things? Because it's different, because it's not what you think, doesn't feel right. If it doesn't feel right, that's because your habits and your programming are designed to keep you comfortable in the space where you are. The resistance that you are experiencing right now is the inertia, the amount of energy and inertia that's required for you to break that down to you in a different way. When a rocket takes off and goes into space, right, it uses up 80% of its fuel just getting outside of the Earth's atmosphere. Why? Because gravity wants to pull it back to the ground. So it uses all this energy to keep pushing, to keep moving forward, so that it can get outside of the Earth's atmosphere, where it doesn't need to use that much fuel because there's no gravity in space, right? And the no gravity in space metaphor could be called momentum, right? So that's what we could say. Francis, email me at disruptivek@gmail.com. So the momentum needs to be built up, right? So how do you build that momentum up? It's by doing repetitive things over and over and over again. Practice makes perfect. 90-day challenges, 1-year projects. So I'm a big fan of 90 days work cycles, 3 months work cycles. It takes at least 90 days to install a new idea. It's between 60 and 120 days, I think the idea is. Why stop there? Why not program in 1 whole year of a new activity? If you're trying to learn something new, and that's the key to what we're really saying here, to go to that next level is a series of learning new skills. And why is it so challenging? Because most people don't understand the steps of how this creativity kind of works, right? How the mind works, how moving forward works. You have to understand you are going against, whatever age you are, you're going against the resistance that you've had. If you're 30 years old, right, you've got at least, let's mind deduct from being a child, because that really you're just under the control of your parents, right? But let's say 25 years of resistance of supposed to be done, of schools, of people telling you the way things are, right? Yes, Darren, big up, bro. Of the way things are, right? And that's from parents. You go from parents to school, to businesses, to community, and then you start policing yourself, right? You're going against all of that resistance, right? No wonder you're finding it hard. You have a habit, a way of doing stuff, a belief system, a belief that is turned into a way of being, right? Beliefs are persistent habits that just become a way of doing something, right? It's not that you believe it, it's just that you have practiced it over and over and over again, that it's just become a solidified way of being, a solidified thought process, right? That the brain and the synapses say, this is how it's done. And to save energy, that's what the brain is, really. The brain is an energy conservation system, so that once it learns a pattern, it goes down into the unconscious mind and says, thank you. Now you can think about something else. That's what a habit is, right? That's what a program is. And then you don't think about it anymore. Hands up if you still think about walking when you decide to walk. Not many people. It's all habitual. That program, it just happens. So when you go against, or you're trying to go to that next level, you are going into this program, right? You're going into the program. It feels uncomfortable for a reason, right? You've been practicing this one way of life for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years. Now you want to change, right? Think about that. Now you want to change. You're like, you're conscious, your program has said, It's like, we've been doing this for way too long. Why do you want to change now? We got our patterns in place. We got our habits in place. We know where you like to sit. We know how you like to answer questions. We know where your eyes like to rest. We know how you like to think. Why do we want to change now? And you're like, well, I think it's going to be a better life for me. It's like, oh, you think that? Where's the evidence? Where's the proof? Who else do you know who's living this new life? Show me. And this is the conversation that's going inside your head, right? It's saying all this stuff. It wants proof. It wants a guarantee. And that's this whole idea, like, human beings will not take action in a new place without certainty, right? We want certainty. You want to know that if I do this, that's the result that I'm going to get from it. You want to know that, is it safe for me to go over there, right? And it's all these questions that are happening at a split second, fractions of a second. And you have it's like a warning, right? Psh, the picture blows up in front of your face. Don't do it, right? Don't go there. You don't know what's behind it. It's not safe. Remember what happened last time you tried to do it. You failed. You fucked up. Everyone was laughing at you. You fucked up. And this is playing in your mind, right? And you're having all of these thoughts weighing down. And you think, you know what? I ain't going to try. Maybe I'll leave it. Maybe I'll go next time. And if you just would have pushed through those thoughts, right? If you just would have listened to the idea that you had that was showing you what was possible, right? Because all the voice is in your head that's telling you not to go there is the voice of the safety net, right? That's been designed to keep you safe, right? It's not designed to stop you going to that next level, right? I'll say that again. The voice in your head is not designed to stop you from going to that next level, right? Yes, Jeff. I'm glad. Right? It's not designed to stop you to get into the next level. It's just telling you to be careful. It's just telling you, you know, look out. Use your intuition. Use your skills. Use your foresight. Use your insight. Use your creativity, right? There's nothing stopping you from going to that next level. It's just teaching you what to prepare for when you go to that next level. And it's a very, very interesting distinction because the comfort zone, how we became to understand it, says that what I think about and what I believe is where I'm most safe, right? But it doesn't say that it's not just as safe in the new place as where you are now, right? It just doesn't feel like it at the moment. And let me ask you this question. Where has it felt uncomfortable to you to think about or to actually do, but then when you did it, it was actually okay, right? Think about that. Post it in the comments. When did you do an action that you were scared of or didn't know what the result was going to be, but you still did it anyway, right? Think about that, because this is the same type of attitude or mindset that you'll take to get to this next level, right? And just to recap, we're talking about becoming future-proof. We're talking about prospering in this new environment, because when we come out of this thing, we already know we are in a very different world, right? You know, and I like what someone posted the other day. They said it's the pause, right? And I really like that. This is the great pause of 2020, right? The pause, when everything just stopped and we slowed down and we had time to think, you know, and look at all the things that's actually occurred and happened in this time that we've had the energy to think about it, right? We never had so much energy before to think about it in the way that we've been able to think about it. And it's been very, very powerful. And so moving forward, right? What is going to be the difference in the future? Listen, we are going to be treating each other a lot differently, right? We all know how this isolation hasn't been as fun for a lot of us as it has been for others, right? It's been challenging, it's been difficult, but we have grown through it. Human beings are resilient, right? We are resilient, right? And that resilience is why we were the dominant species, why we apparently stood up and started to walk on 2 feet and started to use the thumb, right? Those ideas are what got us to the next level. And just as a preface, apparently, humans were smoking or ingesting cannabis and mushrooms. Apparently, that's one of the reasons why we had these kind of insights and were thinking differently. If anybody knows anything about that, let me know. I mean, I heard a talk by Paul Stamets on one of his talks where he talks about mycelial, which is mushrooms, and he talks about the history of mushrooms. And apparently, planet Earth before there was much life on it was consumed with fungi, 40-foot high mushrooms, right? So check out his talk. Paul Stamets is amazing. So yeah, all of this stuff that we're saying is real is designed to keep us safe, first and foremost. So when you're having this idea about I'm going to stretch myself, and then you're policing yourself, it's not saying it's not safe, it's just saying beware, right? So that's a really, really big distinction, right? And I'm already seeing a few comments and people wanting to know more. It's like, yes, Ryan, yes. Thanks. Life is helping a lot of people, you know, and I'll talk a lot about how me and my partner, Sophia, started Life on another talk, but that was the same thing for us again, about taking that step into that new direction. So I really have been passionate over the last, 15 years about helping people get over that line. And yes, MCZ, what's going on, my brother? And one of the things that's really been powerful is to help people realize these steps, right? Because what is it that a creator who is, following their instincts, who are driving through, who are doing new things, what are they doing that's so different that the rest of us aren't doing, right? What's the beliefs? What's the insights? What's the knowledge? What's the level of certainty, right? And when you start putting these pieces together, I'm going to keep saying this, they organize their information that's around them in a different way, right? They organize the information around them in a different way. And this is so powerful to get, because really there is not much new that's happened in the last sort of 100 years. What is new is the combination of ways people are putting things together. For instance, Facebook isn't new, right? Especially not now, it's a couple of years old. But the idea when it came out, it wasn't really revolutionary. It's a networking group. Networking groups have been around for how long? What was the innovation? Doing it online, right? A digital network. The device that I'm recording this on is an iPhone. Communication devices aren't new, aren't revolutionary. What was the innovation? The way that Steve Jobs and his team put the phone together, right? The ease of it, the way that it feels in your hand. That was the innovation. So we could go through all these new ways of thinking, and recognize, like Amazon, biggest retailer in the world. It's nothing new. Selfridges, Halfords, Macy's, been going for years. What's the innovation? Did it online, home delivery, right? So if you really look into these whole ideas of what's actually going on, how do you stop yourself being killed in the future? You need to think differently. You need to future-proof yourself by outthinking the future in a way. Be prepared to think differently. Be prepared to be controversial in your ideas that aren't going to be popular, right? So for a few years, forget about trying to join communities, trying to, be parts of scenes or genres. Have the idea that you're going to break through. Have the idea that you're going to do something different, unique, that represents you. And let's dive into this whole idea about being authentic. Being authentic was one of the most powerful ways that you can guarantee your future. What do I mean? Well, if one of the ideas about being a success or being recognized is getting attention, especially in this world now, the digital world, the social media world, your only problem is obscurity. No one knows you, right? To get attention, what do you need to do? And this is just the business model for creators. And if you're a creator out there, what I mean by creator, a singer, a songwriter, a music producer, someone who runs a label, someone who's a small business owner, someone who has their ideas and sells them for money, or someone who has a service that they sell for money. I call you a creator. So that stems quite a wide idea, but it's very clear that you're relying on your ways of thinking to get to that next level. So how do you distinguish yourself from everybody else that's doing it? Remember, we are not even at saturation point online right now. We're not even, I think we're on about 40% of the planet of being online, right? And already it feels like, you know, it's saturated, right? It feels like there's so many businesses online. And think about all the businesses that weren't online before this, before the pause, and all the businesses that have gone down, and all those people now that are thinking about starting online businesses. So you're going to get another wave of people who are going to want to learn about online businesses. How do you do digital? How do you do marketing? Blah, 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 rare, rare, rare. We all know where that leads, right? A massive shift in education. So we are firmly in the knowledge economy, right? We've left the industrial revolution, the industrial age, where it was all mechanized, industrial, you know, building ships, cars, train lines, and, you know, massive industrial size projects, right? Now we're seeing the biggest entrepreneurial shift in history. 7-year-old kids, YouTube billionaires, right? Think about that. We got 7 to 10-year-old kids now who are YouTube sensations. You know, there was that kid, everybody knows him, I can't remember his name, but he made £27 million last year or something like that. And he's 7 or 8 years old, right? This is the shift. This is where we're at, right? So let's go back to the beginning of this conversation. Jeff Bezos said, Amazon's not killing your business. The future is. 7-year-old kids understanding how that they are now supporting their family at 7, 10 years old, 12 years old, making millions online. Like, that's the future. They've totally bypassed our way of thinking, our way of going to school, learning ABC, 1, 2, 3, geography, history, maths, so that we could become a part of a society, so that we could contribute X, Y, Z, and be able to live these lives. These kids have just bypassed that. They have summed up this whole conversation by just doing it, by understanding that they just were in fun, they were in creativity, they had this idea, they saw the platform, they saw the possibilities, and then bam, next level, right? Let's go up a bit. Let's look at 20 to 30-year-olds. They're internet ready as well. They've come in and they're ready. They understand it. They're not so restricted. They may not be so savvy, but they understand how to work the technology, and they're becoming these entrepreneurs who are smashing it as well, starting these businesses, right? So those people would be starting online shops, shoes, trainers, clothes, services, massages, yogas, teachers, repairs people. They understand the power of the platform and how to grow that. And then you've got the other people who've got established bricks and mortar businesses who are now understanding how to leverage these systems to market their bricks and mortar businesses. And their businesses are doubling, tripling, quadrupling, right? And then you've got the next, the older ones, the 50s, 60s, 70s plus, who are struggling, understand how to use this technology, who are still trapped in the industrial education mindset of how to think in a certain way. Remember, they taught us how to think sequentially, right? Not, and that was the job of education, right? Was to get you to think in a different way based on what the needs were of the time. We don't need people to be intuitive, creative. We need you to operate this machine. That's all that's needed. In this factory that makes cars, all you need to do is press that button when you see that light come on. That's your job. So we don't need you to be thinking outside the box, you know. And my dad was a product of that, right? My dad came from Jamaica. He was a skilled tradesman, so he was building houses. He came to the UK. He was a mason, so he knew how to build, you know, houses. He built a lot of the bridges all over the motorway, and then he became an engineer, and he went to work into Fry's chocolate factory, and he understood how to service all the machines and stuff. But his real dream was to be an inventor, right, and a photographer. And I only worked this out, you know, years after he passed. I worked it out, right, how frustrated my dad was. Right? And why he said the things that he said to me when he saw me being a musician. He couldn't understand how you can make a living at that. He said, son, go and get a real job. Cut your hair and go and get a real job. And even now saying it is making more sense to me, because I understand there was no place for him to really understand how he could have made a living out of his passion. You know, my dad was an inventor. My dad invented the first surround sound system that I ever saw. He wired up speakers in every room of his house, right? And I'd go into his house. I remember sitting in the toilet, right? Just doing my thing. And all of a sudden the music came on. And I was like, Ro, what's that? I go, Dad, what's going on? He said, yes, son. I wired my house up. There's music in every room. And he showed me the switch box. I'm telling you, this is like when I was 17 years old. This is years ago, right? Before Alexa and Google speech and all that. And I was like, it didn't even dawn on me then. I didn't even know what I was I didn't know what I was seeing. I don't know what I was hearing. And then one time I saw my dad with cameras, you know, taking all these pictures. And still it didn't even dawn on me. Until now I really get it. It's like, you know what? Like, he was a frustrated creator. If he was alive now, if he was born in this era now, my dad would be a YouTube sensation, right? He'd have that type of thinking. And that's what I see in these kids now, right? They are products of their environment. They don't see the restrictions of technology, of not being able to do something. They just jump on it. And that's like me. I'm a product of my generation. You know, when I came through, the height of my technology, and people who are OGs out there, you will know, you had a turntable, a cassette deck, and the radio all in one system. And it was like this long thing like that. The turntable would be there, the cassette deck would be there, and the radio would be there, right? And it had all these switches, right, that me and my brother, right, we used to wait for like Sunday evening, and this is how I learned to scratch, right? We'd find records that we liked, and we'd listen to wait for a tune to come on, and then we would turn the switch between turntable and radio, and that's how I learned to scratch, by going backwards and forwards, like turning the switch like that and going like that. That's how I learned to scratch. So that was the height of technology back then, right? And you know, if YouTube or the internet would have been around when I was 12 years old, you know, I'd be a YouTube sensation. I'd be doing what those kids are doing now, right? And this is the mindsets of the groups of people that and the environment that we are in today, right? So think about that, right? Where whatever you are, it's time now to change the narrative, change the way that you see yourself, right? So let's go back and keep bringing this point home, right? Amazon is not killing Amazon's not killing your business. The future is, right? So how do you future-proof yourself, right? Get yourself in an environment where you're authentic, where you are with people who think differently. Choose the places you hang around with. Choose the information you consume. Choose the thoughts that you have by making sure that you're reading the right content. You're imagining the right things. You're consuming the content that always sees what you have as an opportunity, right? And when you think about doing something and you have that voice that says, no, I can't do it, ask it. Why? Right? That's the concept. If you're being challenged by stretching yourself to go to this next level, and you feel like you can't do it, ask yourself why. Why can't I do it? Why can't I go there? Don't sit in there in that state and allow it to just run free. If you've got kids or you see something bad happening that you can control or you can have an effect on, you wouldn't let it happen. Why would you let it happen in your brain, in your mind, in your consciousness? It's the same thing. The kid might tell you to F off, or the people might say you can't control me. But if you could speak to them and let them see reason and let them see that that behavior isn't productive, isn't forward thinking, they would potentially change their behavior. And so that's your opportunity to change your behavior and to think differently and to move forward and find opportunity, because opportunities aren't hiding from you. They're not hiding from you. You're just not looking in the right places, right? And to go to that next level is easier than you think, right? Way more easier than you think. So, I hope you've enjoyed this session today. I've really enjoyed it. And again, I haven't gone through all of my notes, but I think you get the idea that I'm talking about. And if you want to go further, if you want to join our group, our Wednesdays workout groups, which so many of you have been inquiring about and have joined as well, hit me up on, yeah, I am thinking about doing that. So yeah, watch out for my new shows coming to the world next year. Yeah, so if you want to join Wednesday's workout, email me at disruptivek@gmail.com with the title Wednesday's Workshop, and I'll definitely give you more information about that. Thank you everybody who's saying all these amazing comments. Thank you. Yes, loads of new music coming. Brilliant. Thank you all. I mean, I'm on fire right now. I'm really enjoying doing this work. I'm really enjoying doing my coaching session. I've got a great group of in my Wednesdays community. It's a great group of people. I really enjoy doing the sessions. I look forward to it, and I'm really enjoying contributing to our community here on the Power Hour Planet Reset. It's been a godsend. It's really great, and I'm really enjoying reading the feedback you guys are saying as well. So thank you all again for tuning in, for listening, and check me out next week. We're back again, and look out this week. We got a new competition coming, and it's going to give you guys an opportunity to work with me a lot closer. So if you want to jump into that opportunity, keep watching the networks, and sign up for the mailing list as well, so you can be one of the first to know. And I look forward to jumping on with you guys. Disruptive with any or not. What does that mean, bro? Give me some more info on that one. I don't know what you mean there. Disruptive with any or not. Yeah, that's it. disruptivek@gmail.com. So yeah, hit me up if you want to know, if you want to go further. Oh yes, yeah, with an E, that's right. If you want to go further, as yeah, that's right. Yeah. And so yeah, so hit me up if you want to know anything more about the music, joining the network, joining the group. If you want to find out more about what's going on with my future projects. Sorry to change the subject. Are you still producing? Yep, we got the new album almost ready to go. So do check that out. It's coming soon. And any more questions, post them into the comments. I'll answer them, or email me directly at disruptivek@gmail.com. I will definitely get back to you. I'm answering all emails. And thank you. Been a lively session today. I'm going to go into the comments and feedback as well. So thank you all. Namaste. And I will speak to you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.